Good afternoon and welcome to the Sabi Sands. We are here in Juma and Arathusa Game Reserves, and it's a wonderful cool afternoon, which is good. We had a little bit of rain earlier, so hopefully we don't get any more because it does make broadcasting tricky. But the cloudy weather is good if the rain stays away, because this cool weather is a welcome relief to the heat we're used to at this time of the year. Now, we have just made our way back from the Gowrie repeater, which is one of the antenna masts, the main antenna mast that we bounce off all our signal from, and we just turn it off during the day. It is solar powered. We turn it off during the day if it is overcast, just to make sure it doesn't drain any necessary energy. So we made our way there, and on the way there we saw a beautiful big elephant bull and some open clearings, so we're making our way back there. Hopefully we're still going to find them. So that is where we're heading to. If any of you are joining for the first time, welcome on board, and to all the regulars, welcome back. For those of you who are new, it is an interactive safari, so you can ask me questions at any stage, and to do this you would hashtag Safari Live on Twitter with your question, or you could send an email through to questions@wildearth.tv. So those are the ways to get a hold of us, or contact us and let us know your questions. And Alex, who's in the final control room this afternoon, will try and get those through to us. We've got Jason on camera.
Hello.
Well, the good news is the mechanics are making some headway on Jigger, the second vehicle, so hopefully maybe tomorrow we will get it back, so potentially an afternoon drive tomorrow with two vehicles. But it is moving in the right direction, and that is certainly something we look forward to. It's much better for us to broadcast from two vehicles because there's simply twice as much content available to bounce between. Now we are approaching the clearings where we last saw this big elephant bull, and with a little bit of luck he's still going to be enjoying his time in this clearing. He was evidently feeding on the marula fruits that are starting to drop from the marula trees now. And on a trip into the Kruger National Park yesterday to go and do some exploring, I saw many breeding herds of elephants, and I think the reason why is because a lot of the marula trees further north are already starting to fruit heavily and drop their fruits heavily, and the elephants really love these fruits. So I think that's why at the moment we don't have too many elephants in this area. They've moved off in search of the marulas, but they'll certainly be coming back down as the marula trees further south start to drop their fruits. No, I hope he hasn't done a disappearing act on us, because
There he is on the right.
okay, well done, Mr. Jason. Eyes like a hawk. Okay, good. Well, we've got nothing to worry about then. I was just a little bit concerned he may have headed off into some of the thicker vegetation that surround this beautiful open clearing. But thankfully he's still out in the open, so in the next minute or two we should be with him. Would you mind turning on the video camera, Jason, and just straightening it out? Perfect, thanks. I do have my little video camera on board, so this should be a good opportunity to capture some footage of from the back of the vehicle looking down over the wide perspective of whatever we're doing. So with the big elephant bull, I think we've got a good opportunity on our hands to get some cool footage. beauty. Wonderful. Okay, so nearly there. Bear with me. I just want to try and get into a good position in front of him. He's just ripped down this massive branch that you can see on the ground in front of him. From this marula tree you can see the very fresh break, but let me just stop and get a good spot, which I think is just about here for now. He does seem very relaxed, so that's why I have come quite close. But so I was wrong about him feeding on the marula fruits. At the moment he's evidently simply feeding on the leaves, and you can see him stripping them off the terminal branches of this marula tree. So that's why he would have broken the branch down. And you can see, if you just pan a little bit up to the left and zoom in, you can see the fresh break of that branch, and it's a very, very thick branch, as you can see. But when you're an elephant, it's easy to break branches that big. And now he's got himself a gigantic plateau in front of him. Beautiful texture on these big old bulls, especially around their face. I suppose he may be scooping a few of the fruits into his mouth along with those leaves, but I don't think he's targeting them. We'll keep a close eye on him there and establish exactly whether he does scoop those fruits that you can see dangling in the tree there, the small golf ball like berries. Those are the marula fruits that the famous amarula liqueur is made out of. If you haven't tried it, go get yourself some. You can get it internationally. Beautiful. What a beautiful animal. Look at how he's resting his back leg. I don't know if you can see it from your angle there. He's got his back leg folded. He's really comfortable. And it looks like he's completely unperturbed by us. There's a woodlands kingfisher that's just popped up above his head. I hope its nest wasn't in the branch that he's just broken down. Just a little bit more to the right. There we go. If you just zoom in right now. What this woodlands kingfisher might be doing, now this is going to be tricky for Jason, but it may be hoping that this elephant's movements here may flush up some insects. So let's watch closely and see if this kingfisher doesn't fly down, and it's just flown away though. So I was hoping it was going to fly down and catch a little insect potentially that this elephant may disturb during its snack it's busy having here. Now, to give you an idea of how much vegetation elephants consume a day, it's believed that 4% of their body weight is the figure that they need to acquire every day, and 4% of an animal this heavy, which could be around 6 tons, would be around 250 kilograms, which is around 500 pounds. An exceptionally large salad. There's that back leg folded, just emphasizing how relaxed he actually is. Huh? It's not often you see elephants do that when you're this close to them. Go ahead with the question, Alex. A question's just come through from Marion. Afternoon, Marion. Welcome on board. Marion's asking whether his tusks have been in any way sawn off. Or are they deformed? No, sorry, Alex just repeated the question there, that's why I stopped. So Marion, they certainly are not deformed, and they also have not been sawed off. Simply his genetics have provided him with these shorter tusks, and that is normal for elephants. You even get some elephants that are completely tuskless in some areas, and that gene can become quite dominant in certain areas where you do get tuskless elephants. But this individual, what I can tell you about his tusks is that his left tusk is shorter than his right tusk. You'll also notice that his left tusk on that bottom side has been very well worn, and that's because this elephant is essentially left-handed or left-tusked. Now, when his right tusk does become slightly more evident, you'll see, or visible, you'll see that it is slightly longer, and all this means is that he's more likely to use his left tusk than his right, just like we would be more likely to use a left hand than a right hand. And they're highly important tools, these tusks, for feeding. They use them a lot to excavate bulbs or roots out of the ground, bark off trees. So all this wearing down does add up over time, but they usually aren't this short. I agree with you, man. He's got exceptionally stumpy tusks. There used to be many elephants that used to roam this continent that had tusks that would touch the ground. Sadly, these days there are few and far between. But imagine how beautiful that would be, seeing an elephant whose ivory touches the ground. Some have even grown so long that they've snapped off because they've almost become a nuisance. They were too long and therefore snapped off. So that is a risk some of the tuskers run, is that they may have one beautiful long tusk and then another one snapped off at the base. Now it'll be interesting to see how long he feeds on this tree for, because what happens when an animal starts feeding on a tree, the tree realizes that it's under attack and it pushes out bitter tannins into the leaves, which prevent the animal from continuing to do damage. Now in this case, wow, that was awesome. I just stripped that one branch of all its leaves. Anyway, this tree may start becoming bitter, and then he'll move on to the next tree, and it'll be wonderful to see what he actually does to the next tree. But what we can expect is that he won't be sitting here for the whole afternoon, and hopefully the next tree is going to the one, either of the ones behind us, and that way we may get him to walk past us. We'll get the beautiful view of him walking past us. Again, he's just folded his back leg. Really relaxed, this bull. And that could all change tomorrow. We could come across the same individual tomorrow and he'd be maybe in a less welcoming mood. But today, he is extremely relaxed. Just got a question through from Lenny in Arizona. Good afternoon, Lenny. Welcome on board. Now, Lenny's asked whether this tree will survive this kind of damage, and it certainly will. If anything, the remaining branches will thrive or flourish, because instead of the tree having to splits up all of the nutrients and water that it gets from the roots into all the branches. It's going to have one less branch to feed, so you could kind of think of it as a family having one less kid to feed. It would become an easier operation, and that's all it's becoming for this tree. It's going to be easier for the remaining branches to exist and continue to flourish. It'll just have this one branch missing from the tree, and that's just about all. Elephants, on the other hand, can kill trees, and in different ways. The most common way that they actually kill trees is by stripping the bark off them. Now, if you strip the bark off a tree, even if it's a very thin strip, but it goes around the circumference of that layer of bark, that will cut off the transport system from the roots to the leaves, therefore causing the plant to die. The term known as ring barking. So elephants often do that. They tap into this transport system of the plants and intercept nutrients as they're being pushed up from the roots through this cambium layer of bark, basically the skin of the tree, before they can get to these. Oh, here he's got a marula fruit he's about to pop into his mouth. Beautiful. Awesome. Good work on camera there, Jason. He's learning, old Jason, learning all the tricks of the trade. But very good question, Lenny, and thanks for asking it. Another way the elephants can kill trees is actually simply by pushing the whole tree over. And the marula tree, just like this branch snapped, the base of the tree can also snap. It's got a very deep taproot system, and the roots often don't give way. The trunk of the tree actually snaps when elephants do try and push the whole tree over, so that we sometimes see a completely flattened marula that's snapped off at the base. Whereas the other tree that they often push down to get to the roots is the knobthorn tree, and the knobthorn tree's got more of an adventitious root system, so those roots often pull up, and you can often also find a knobthorn tree growing horizontally on the ground because it still does have a few roots that are anchored into the soil, providing nutrients. It really is incredible to watch how that trunk works. It's got hundreds of thousands of individual muscle fascicles that allow it to bend and weave every which way. And I'm sure there's a specific part of the brain that's dedicated just to controlling that trunk. It really is an incredible tool that can be used for picking up food, inhaling water, I guess, initially, filling up that trunk, which acts as a reservoir, I guess, initially, and then they can blow the water, I guess, back into their mouth. An incredible adaptation that this animal has turned its nose into an extra limb. And he is slowly feeding closer towards us, which is wonderful when you get these situations where the animal does everything that it can to make our jobs easier and our views better, and is playing along perfectly this afternoon. Beautiful side profile of him chewing. I'm not sure if you can hear the slight crunching as he chews on some of the marula fruits that are popping into his mouth. Those marula fruits have got a hard nut in the middle of them. They've got a very thin layer of fruit on the outside, and the majority of that fruit that you can see is the internal nut or seed. Beautiful. It's ridiculous how neat he can be. I'm going to ask Jason to if you could try and pan down onto his trunk, he just did something very, very neat there. And you can see how neatly he can hold and operate with that trunk. Let's watch if he does it again. So they snapped, and there you can just see him making sure. Wow, look at that. I mean, hardly any leaves are dropping out of there. Not a lot of waste. Beautiful. I believe there's quite a few people asking or showing interest in the potential age of this animal. And I would guess somewhere around 40 to 50 years of age. They live to about 60. Maybe closer 40, mid-40s. But again, I'm very hesitant to be bold when guessing the ages of animals unless you know for certain, because just like humans, you could guess somebody's age and be quite easily 4 or 5 years off, sometimes more, depending on the individual human we're guesstimating. But yes, I would guess around 40, 45. Elephants live to around 60 years of age, and again, this is a very rough figure because it'll vary greatly between different individuals. But judging by his facial markings and temporal dents, you'll notice those dents above his eye, and the deeper those dents become, the older they are as a general rule, and his don't seem too deep yet. And just like you would look at a human, and I would always revert back to humans when it comes to age, you can look into somebody's face and tell if they're very old because of the wrinkles and expressions. And it's the same for elephants and animals a lot of the time. So yeah, anywhere between 40 and 45 would be my guess. Wouldn't it be wonderful to know how old he actually was and where he was born, how far away he's been from here. They travel huge distances, these animals. He could well have been into Mozambique, Zimbabwe, he could have been into other countries for all we know. See if he strips this through his mouth. No, he's going to chew through this one. What he's doing is he's just getting the bark off this twig. Now watch, you'll see the twig coming towards us as he continues to feed out of his mouth. And he's just slowly spiraling it through, targeting only the bark off that specific branch. And he'll probably drop it out once he's finished. There we go. Beautiful. And what that shows is that they are highly specific in what they feed on. I mean, it's broken this whole tree down, but it's only feeding on specific parts of it. And that goes to show that they don't feed on just anything or any plant they see. They will target specific plants at specific times of the year. And this is important for elephant because they have a poor digestive system. They only digest about 30 to 40% of what they actually consume. So it's important that they do pick out the most nutritious bits available. And obviously really like that one because it plonked it back into its mouth, and now it's taking it along with him. There's a little souvenir from this restaurant. But oh, hello boy, he seems to be getting a little bit, had a bit of a swagger there, I'm not sure why. Wonderful. Now, if you don't mind turning on that video again, we are going to try and get in front of him and see where he's going. Where is the next marula tree? Absolutely beautiful, folks, to see him walking through this big open clearing. And we should catch up to him and be traveling alongside him shortly. You may see a little small structure in the background as we pass by. That is the little house on the prairie where we have our fireside chats. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to actually get in front of his immediate line that's walking on now, and hopefully he'll pass by very close to us. He is very relaxed, so we've got a good opportunity to get a very counter with him. Beautiful. Well, let's see where he decides to go from here. He's just sniffing the vegetation as he goes along, looking for any small saplings, I guess, or smaller plants, and he may give us a little bit of attitude as he comes past, but nothing to worry about. He's very close to us now. You probably will start getting my head in the shot quite soon. Beautiful. He really is a monstrous animal, and you do get a very good idea of this when he's this close to us. He's towering above us. Well, isn't this special, folks, to have this beautiful big elephant right here? We've been longing to see elephant for a few days now, and we had a brief visual a few days ago. I believe Mark saw some yesterday, but what we have here is a really, really awesome sighting. He's out in an open clearing, a beautiful open clearing, and he's exceptionally relaxed with us. He's just so close. And these are the sightings that we love. We are very close to the final control. You may have noticed a tall antenna in the right of the shot. That's one of our broadcasting antennas. So Alex is sitting very close to that antenna, and thankfully Alex did get a view of this elephant also today. You can see quite a lot of mud caked on the end of his tail there, obviously from the mud wallowing he's been doing, and it's a great shot, that, because you got a good idea of how the mud can peel off. There's one little square there that you may have seen that's fallen off, and if any ectoparasites were on that little square, they would have got peeled off with the mud. So wonderful to see that. Obviously it's hard for that mud to get off the base of his tail because you can't really rub it against trees. Now there's a fork-tailed drongo which is actually quite interesting because it has a double fork, which isn't very common. So as it walks past, you'll see a fork-tailed drongo, and notice it has a double fork in its tail, which, like I say, is not very common. Now these fork-tailed drongos may well follow the elephant as it walks through this open clearing, and they'll do that to fly down and catch insects that he may chase up. So let's park here and see. Oh, there it goes, there it goes. Did you get it? Did you get it? Well, that's what the fork-tail drongo was trying to do there. I'm not sure if you saw it, my monitors give it causing trouble, but let's watch again and see. Well done, Jason. He says he did manage to get a few shots of it. Wonderful. Now I'll let Jason know if the drongo does fly down again. Okay, so now we are back on this drongo, and let's see if it is gonna fly down and catch. Oh, there it goes, there it goes. Oh, but it's gone too far. Sadly, it saw an insect that hadn't been chased up by elephants. Oh, there it goes. Oh, wow, look at that. Look at this, this is awesome. Cool, well, we got very lucky there, folks. It flew far away and then came back and was hovering right in front of the elephant's trunk. Beautiful shot, and my monitor thankfully was working, so did also see that you got to see that. There's one Madonna and one quarantine clearings, if anyone's interested. Affirmative, Ephraim. Yebo. Copy. Well, our friend Ephraim is coming to join us. Ephraim's a real character, always good to bump into him, so he's coming along to join us with the sighting. You may notice on his temples, just behind his eye, if he turns his head again, there's a small patch of liquid there. Now the reason for that is there's a scent gland, or a gland over there that does secrete these liquids when the elephants are emotional in any way, sexually heightened, worked up. So if we saw that temporal gland very wet running down the side of his face, we would be cautious that he may be in must, the sexually heightened stage that they get into for a few months every year, or a few weeks every year, or simply that they may be worked up. So that is what that little patch is behind his eye. It's a temporal gland. It really is incredible how relaxed he is. Let me see if I can get ahead and preempt his next move, which I'm hoping will be a marula tree, although he does seem quite happy where he is there. Also nice to give you guys a bit of a 360 vista of the area we're in now. It's an incredible thought. Imagine spending the majority of your day just eating.
That's what I do.
That's what Jason claims to do. But it really is phenomenal. Compared to most other animals, or mammals at least, it's, oh well, he's playing along well and doing a beautiful walk by us. Let's see if he picks on the small marula tree that he's approaching. The fork-tailed drongos are following from tree to tree. You may have noticed them there. He's thankfully pitied that how are we looking behind us there, Jason? You're not going to crash into anything?
So much space.
Okay, good. There you'll see where we convey our, or broadcast our fireside chats from, that small tarpaulin that you can see in the background. Oh, it looks like he may be heading towards it for now. There's a fork-tailed drongo, the little black bird that follows large herbivores around, hoping that they will flush up insects. And let's see if it doesn't swoop down and catch anything amongst the elephant's feet. There you go, perfectly in shots on the right, center right, or mid-right of the screen. At the right-hand side of the screen, you'll see the little black bird. There it comes. Wow, did it fly straight through its legs?
Yep.
Well, that right there is a serious aerial display. We got the little black drongo flew straight through the legs of the elephant. Beautiful. And I'm sure it won't be long before it swoops down to catch another little insect. So let's see what happens here. Oh, no. It's coming back. I think it just went to chase another bird off, and now it's back on its perch, ready for its next meal, to be flushed up by the elephants. Nope. Now he's back again. You wonder where he heads off to on these other little errands between meals. Okay, well, time for another angle. Are we looking behind us? All good? Cool.
what what's wrong back here?
Now, what we want him to do is come to these marula trees that we are just parked beneath. We're looking through the two of them, and I'm hoping his craving for the marula tree, leaves, fruits and bark are going to attract him towards us here. That was the initial tree we saw him feeding on, the marula, and since then he's been targeting these much smaller little saplings that are popping up in this clearing. You'll notice how he often dusts the plants he pulls up out of the ground off his chin before he feeds on them. Let's watch if he does it here. No. Because they know that if they've pulled out a little plant with the roots, there's a chance that there's a lot of sand still on those roots, so they can often dust them off against their chin before feeding on them. There we go. That was a little dust that we saw it perform. Beautiful raggedy ears, especially this left ear. Sadly, he hasn't made it any closer towards the two marula trees I was hoping to. Well, this is a very nice angle. Oh, I'm on it to black darts. In the back, no. Okay, appears to have gone full circle and he's back on a little patch where we're heading back towards a little patch that he was initially feeding on, and I'm hoping the circle is gonna continue back towards us for a little bit and then to these marulas, but quite the opposite is happening, as you can see. What has he smelt back there that is so tasty? We've got a question that's just come through from Karen in Indiana, and it's a frequently asked question. Afternoon, Karen, welcome on board. Karen has asked whether elephants get intoxicated from eating the marula fruits, and sadly they don't. I would love to see an intoxicated elephant one day. But the film that you watched, they used an elephant that had been tranquilized and was coming through after they'd given it the reversal. Therefore it came across to be inebriated. The fruits don't ferment when they hit the ground. They do rot potentially, but for fermentation to occur, they would need yeast for that process to be completed. So the fruits do not ferment and form alcoholic little nuggets that the elephants can feed on. Even if they did, I wonder how much an elephant would have to consume to get inebriated. It would be a lot. What I can tell you though is that humans do get inebriated on the fermented marula fruits. It's very popular in this area to make a local beer out of marula fruits, and it is tasty, and depending on how long you ferment it for, it can be quite potent. So you can make a beer out of the marula fruits or an alcohol out of the marula fruits, but it sadly doesn't occur naturally out here. Yeah, it's incredible how that one film has created so much misunderstanding for elephants. I don't think the directors realized what they were doing when they did it. And is this our lucky opportunity where he's going to come across, reach up his trunk and pull down a branch from this marula tree? Come on. Nope. Not yet, at least. Wonderful time of year for these animals. There's just so much to feed on. So far we've seen it feeding on different flowers, small shrubs, marula fruits, marula leaves, marula bark. Now he's feeding on grass. There's certainly lots of options at this time of the year. In the dry winter there's a lot less soft and tasty food around. Can you hear that audio of it pulling on the grass coming through? Beautiful. You can hear that grass kind of squeaking as it gets plucked out of the earth. There's a little dusting technique that they use if they get too much roots out with sand on them. Beautiful when you do see it from the side profile like we just did. Just dusts it off their chin. Beautiful shots. Well done, Jason. Never ceased to amaze me.
Thank you. I try.
Okay, one more reposition. Hello, boy. Why don't you come and sniff the hood of the vehicle for us? No, that's fine. Well, the reason why I'm staying with him for so long is because, yes, he's a beautiful big animal that we don't get to see very often and in a beautiful setting. So that is one contributing factor, or a few contributing factors as to why we're still here. But what I was really hoping for is for it to display its strength and break down on another marula branch. But sadly, I think he's had us full of marula. After that initial branch, he just broke down. When we first arrived, we saw him feeding on it. We sadly didn't get to see him snap it off, because that would have been certainly very interesting to watch. I think he may be possibly about to have a toilet break. And we've got the best angle you could ever wish for. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he's not going to have a toilet break. Oh, here it comes. We may as well just see what it's all about. There we go. And it's interesting because when we were driving earlier, following him, he did the same thing. And it is about every 40 minutes they deposit about 5 or 6 of these boluses of very partly digested vegetation. And obviously it thought it was important that you saw that, because it provided us with that perfect angle, and we just had to run with it. Okay, well, if any of you are wondering what it looked like when an elephant went to the toilet, now you know. I'm not sure if you heard the thuds of those big boluses of dung hitting the ground, but it can be a useful noise to know, because if you are walking through the bush and you do hear that large thud of wet elephant dung hitting the ground, you know that you could be close to an elephant, and that and an elephant flatulating has, those two noises have helped indicate to me that I'm very close to elephant. And had they have not gone to the toilet and or flatulated, I would have not known they were there. So it is a sound that can certainly help. Oh, here's the drongo again. Have you got it? Yes, beautiful. Where's it going now? There it is. There it is. Still hovering, looking for an insect. Maybe it got one. Beautiful. They do occasionally use their penis as a bit of a fly swat, and you may notice him tapping his stomach as he walks along. Chase off any bugs, but I'm not sure if he'll necessarily do it today. It really has been wonderful to watch how he is almost feeding in circles. Not too fussed at all. And there's obviously just so much food around that it doesn't matter which direction he heads in. He's finding something tasty to feed on. I'm just going to reposition the vehicle again. Look at the drongo right here. Oh, just landed again. Oh, there it goes. There it goes. Blink. Catching such small prey, but how wonderful to watch these birds feeding cooperatively with an animal so much bigger than them. But the drongos certainly are benefiting from its presence. The drongos, for those of you who have just joined, are these black birds with a distinctively forked tail, and they are notorious for following large herbivores around. There's the dusting we can see. He brushed that vegetation against his chest to get any sand off the root. Oh, I think I just spoke over his flatulence. I was hoping you could have heard it, but he might do it again. Now, without these animals in the ecosystem, you can imagine how thick this area would be. There are already areas that are impenetrable with a vehicle, or even difficult to walk through. So imagine without these elephants here, creating this necessary distraction. Fork-tailed drongo, you'll keep seeing coming back into picture now. It's directly under its mouth. That's one of the beautiful shots. So let's see if it comes in now. It'll be beautiful. Oh, look at this. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. There, it's killing its prey. Oh, look at that. It's a grasshopper. Wonderful. So, if any of you were hoping on seeing a kill this afternoon, your dreams have come true. You've just seen one. Not the biggest, not your usual predator. Look at the texture of that skin, incredible. Oh, I just saw a little dwarf mongoose on the stick below the drongo, but it's very thick and the dwarf mongoose are tiny, so sadly it's disappeared. This is really, really beautiful, folks. I'm going to get my camera out and start taking some snaps, which I should have been doing hours ago. But sometimes you just got to keep the camera away in the box and enjoy sightings for what they are. Okay. Okay, Jason. Cool. One more. One more. Cool. Just got a question through from Laura on Twitter asking why he's alone. Now, that's a great question, but I can't give you the exact answer to it. It is often the case that elephant bulls are alone. They only follow the females, as do a lot of male animals. They only follow the females when there's a reason to, and that is most often mating. So if there are mating opportunities, there's a strong chance he would follow the herd. Or if he was in a sexually heightened stage called must, he would also be more inclined to follow a herd. And occasionally you do get elephant bulls joining up together and moving around together for company, I guess. But in the same breath, it's not uncommon for them to be alone. Beautiful, beautiful close-up of his eye. Eyelashes caked in mud. Okay, well, this has been absolutely beautiful, but I am getting somewhat restless here now and hoping to go and look for something else soon. So as he passes out of shot behind this bush that we are parked next to, we will leave him be. Hopefully see him over the next few days. At the rate he's going here, he's not going to be very far tomorrow morning, because he's just going around circles in this beautiful clearing here. Perfect, Alex, go ahead, sir. Okay, we've just got a question through from Gail in New Jersey. Afternoon, Gail. Welcome on board. And Gail's asking why the little fork-tailed drongos don't ride on the elephant's back? And it's a good question. They may be nervous of it, and it's certainly easier to perch yourself, I think, on a stationary branch than a moving animal, especially with the fork-tailed drongo's foot structure. They've got 3 toes forward and 1 toe back, whereas the oxpecker has 2 toes forward and 2 toes back, much like a woodpecker would, which makes clamping onto animals a lot easier, or riding animals a lot easier. So that is one reason. Another reason could be that when you're perched on top of the elephant, it would be difficult to see any insects that it's chasing off, whereas if you perched a few meters away from it looking towards it, it may be easier to see insects feeding on, flying away from the elephant as it moves through. So that could be another potential contributing factor to the whole yacht spent with a beautiful big elephant bull. But it's time to leave him to it, and we are going to continue. Oh wow, look at this hornbill here. It appears to be destructing this termite nest. Look at this. Okay, now is it feeding on actual termites? Yeah, that are coming out as it breaks it. Yes, look at that. Incredible. So it's been a lot of fresh renovations done on this termite mound, and it's still actually wet. It hasn't solidified yet, and that's why it is so easy for this hornbill to break into this mud. If it was given time to dry, the hornbill would have no chance. And it is just having an absolute field day. The soldiers within this termite mound might come out and start causing trouble for the hornbill. Jeez, look at that. Wow. Well, it could well even be eating the soldiers. But he certainly is causing some major damage to all the new renovations they've done, and imagine how much time was spent by these tiny little insects building a monumental structure like this that is all being undone right in front of our eyes. Incredible how accurate it is with that beak. There we go. We've got a good angle of them all coming out now. I don't know if can you get any closer in on it? No? Let me try and drive it a little bit further forward. See if we can get you just a little bit closer. He seems very much focused on what he's doing there, so I'm hoping he's not going to fly off. For now, that will be as good as it gets. It is a little bit closer. It's incredible how he tosses them up into the air and then catches them in the back of the throat. Now I wonder if he is the same individual that is feeding a nest that I know of not far away. And what I'm going to do is, I'm actually going to drive to that nest now because I'm pretty sure it is him. I don't know how you'll get all these tiny, usually they carry their quills in the end of their beak to give to the female and the chicks, but in this case he's swallowing all the little insects, so I'm not sure if he's actually going to be able to regurgitate them or how he's going to get them to the family members. Maybe those are just for him. Let's go and have a quick look at this nest, see what's going on, and then potentially head off to somewhere else. No, where is this tree? Here it is. make sure he's not flying back at the moment. Catch us unaware. What's quite nice is from the position where we can park nearby this nest, we can often, because it's very open, get a decent visual of him flying in from a distance. And they've got a beautiful flight pattern, do the hornbill. Okay. So, just to remind Jason where the nest is in this tree, if you follow the furthest right fork to that funny little gnarled part that you can see is where another branch has been broken off. In the center of that gnarled piece of bark is a distinctive white patch, and to the left of that white patch is a little coin slot. It's on the right hand side of the screen now, you do have it there. So that is where the hornbill, there's the coin slot, perfect. So if we keep watching that closely, we may see the little beak of a female poking out every now and then, throwing out excrement from the chicks if they've hatched, or her own excrement potentially, keeping, and also keeping the coin slots in that shape requires constant work, and she would have closed herself in that coin slot with excrement and mud, therefore making it very difficult for any predators to get in while she's in there. And when it's time to come out and help her husband, or her mate rather, in raising the chicks, she will simply break out of that coin slot and then reseal it so that the chicks are inside. Where is the male though? Usually it doesn't take very long for them to come back and feed. They've got a high strike rate, these hornbills, when it comes to hunting. But he may be the individual that should be coming back here, and he may just be making the most of the termite bounty that he was busy breaking into. Oh, there you can see the beak sticking out. He's about to drop something out of the hole. Keep watching closely. Can you see the beak there? You should just be able to see a little bit of movement coming through that coin slots on the right, in the center of the screen. I just saw a little bit of movement there. I'm not sure what she was trying to throw out or what she was doing, but there's certainly some movement in there, but no sign of the breadwinner. Okay, well, sometimes you get lucky, sometimes you don't. Today, it appears the hornbill luck is not with us, so we shall continue. Okay, no problem, thank you, good. Okay, so now what is going to be the best plan of action for the rest of this afternoon? I'd like to go and have a look around for Mvula. beautiful big male leopard that was seen this morning, we only got a very, very brief glimpse of it. Sadly, we couldn't get the camera onto it, and then lost him in some thick vegetation. He could well be in that general area. He could have moved off a long way, but it is our best possible option regarding leopard intel at this stage. So we'll head over there, have a look for him, and if we don't have any luck with him, we'll head towards the lion a bit later. As it cools down, there are 3 young male lions that are recovering from a food-induced coma. They fed on a buffalo for about 4 days and have been seriously lethargic since then. So we can only expect the lions to start performing a little bit later, as a general rule, at this time of the year. So no rush to get over to them. Very glad that the weather's held out. We had a short shower of rainfall, nothing too serious, but there was some rain just before drive. So happy that it didn't continue or get heavier. Try and get onto that hoopoe there, it'll be wonderful. A beautiful bird called an African hoopoe. Look at that. What an awesome hairstyle they've got. And they can flare that crest up vertically towards the beak. It's currently sitting flat. But this is a hoopoe, it's a beautiful, beautiful bird. And I think the first one that I've managed to be able to show you guys on film. There he goes. Oh, he's got his crest flared up now. I just need to go forward a little bit to get a better angle, or where should I be going? Well done with the camera work there, but sadly, once they land, they only have that crest up for a few seconds and then flatten it again. And as I try to reposition, it sadly flattened the crest again. And now it's showing us how it can use that long thin beak as a very useful tool for cleaning and preening. But while it does that, we shall venture forth. Good work on camera there again to follow it across. Wonderful. Copy, thank you for that, Alex. going to get lucky with the mvula. I hope we are. He's a beautiful, beautiful leopard, and I've only seen him once, and the one time that I did see him, the vehicle that I was in couldn't broadcast from where we are, so this vehicle had to come in and take over the sighting from us, and we left and went to go look for something else. So that was highly frustrating having to leave him, but at least you guys got to see him. I think Hayden took over that sighting from me when he was still here, but I'm not sure how much he did after we did see him initially, because he lay down. Anyway, he's a beautiful big leopard, and I would love to see him again. We're not far from where he was last seen this morning, so anything is possible from here onwards. He could pop up at any stage. He was heading more from right to left this morning, north to south. The sun is going to be setting directly ahead of us later to the west, and you might be able to see it kind of poking through the clouds. Some rays of light poking through the clouds just on the right of the vehicle. Anyway, he was heading from north to south, but he could have changed that direction and be heading in a completely different one now. So let's see what signs we can find. Now we've got to be careful not to overlook relaxed impala, which we can see just ahead of us over here, because impala are always relaxed before a leopard catches them. So you can't drive in and just assume that because they're impala and it's all peaceful that there's no leopard nearby. We did lose them further down beyond the impala in this thick vegetation behind them. Okay, what I plan to do is drive along the roads that encompass the vegetation that he was in earlier, and hopefully see a track of his with some clue that may help lead us closer to where he may be. Come on, Mr. Leopard. Antelope up and down this road, but no leopard. And that is since this morning, I know, because I drove up and down this road this morning and all of these animal tracks are on top of our vehicle tracks. So it was between when we were here this morning and now that all these animals passed over the road here. Just want to see if I can't see any of his tracks crossing over this road. This was kind of his general movements. It was in this direction. with that. Thank you, Alex. No problem, so confirm we're still live. Okay. Apologies for the breakup in signal, not sure what happened there. now getting into the area where I saw another set of leopard tracks this morning. They were going from our right to our left, from south to north. So did follow up briefly, drove around a few roads where the tracks were heading this morning, but didn't come up with anything. But that's not to say that this afternoon things won't be a little bit different. So the leopard would have come down this road on our right hand side and then veered across onto this road that we're turning onto now. Now this road continues right back up to the pump house, basically kind of directly through the center of Juma. And we drove down it towards this point this morning, but only found the tracks a few hundred meters ahead of us, so obviously it off right or left at some street, not sure which. But there was a leopard walking down this very stretch of road last night, that is for certain. Where it ended up, I sadly don't know, but I'm hoping to try and establish that this afternoon with you guys. So keep your eyes out. We are in an area where a leopard has moved through fairly recently and could still be in the area. Have you guys seen a leopard by any chance passing by, Mr. Impala? No? Okay, no problem. Of course, Alex. Alex just pointed out a very good thing I should have asked in the local language, which is Shangaan or Tsonga, not in English. So next time I communicate with Impala, I'll try in the local tongue, see if that makes a difference. Now this Nyala, the beautiful dark antelope that you can see, is hopefully going to take one or two steps out. No, it's staying. There we go. Anyway, beautiful antelope, and he's joined up with a bachelor herd of Impala, and I'm sure his theory behind doing this is to rather have lots of eyes and ears around, and he's getting a lot of security from being around these Impala here. He's coming into shots a lot better. Such beautiful antelope. And I stopped in the road and reversed back because I appear to have found some sort of a crime scene, and I think the crime that was committed was that of a leopard harassing a porcupine on a public road was the charge. And if you look in front of the vehicle on the left of the road on this little hump, you zoom in, you'll notice a collection of porcupine quills. Now, I overlooked this morning, probably still half asleep, but it could well have been the leopard that passed down this road last night that tried to attack this porcupine. Maybe it succeeded, maybe it didn't. If it did succeed in killing the porcupine, it's probably got one or two quills in the end of its nose, because it's certainly not an easy job to catch and kill a porcupine without getting one of these quills in your nose. And sadly, because I've driven here this morning, I wouldn't be able to see any of the leopard's tracks, but nice to be able to see some of the quills on the ground here. And I think I'm just going to get one or two out for a closer inspection. They may not have been from last night, so I may be just jumping to conclusions here, but something certainly would have attacked that porcupine for it to have lost this many quills over there. Maybe not last night, but certainly at some stage a porcupine was attacked. There. Okay. They're exceptionally sharp, these quills, and this would have been embedded in the is getting stuck in you, especially if you're an animal like a lion or leopard, because it's very difficult without fingers or anything to pull it out. They cannot get them out of their skin. Possibly Quarantine or Conuma, the two young males, two young leopards that live in this area. We haven't quite perfected the art of hunting yet and are still learning about the ways of the wild. Maybe they came across the porcupine and got one or two quills in their nostrils. I've just had a feeling, and my feeling is that we need to go left. So let's see if it provides any exciting stuff for us. I haven't driven this road for a while, so I figured what a better time than now. Like I said, there was a leopard moving in this area last night. I could tell by the tracks we found of it this morning. And maybe he's just lounging up here in a marula tree, walking down the road, who knows. But he could be in this area. Okay, no sign of any tracks on the road there. But it looked like another game viewer did drive down this road this morning. So even though I didn't check it, somebody else did. I saw a rock that I thought could have been the head of a leopard. But it was just a rock. Come on. Lots of false alarms today. Passing by Treehouse Dam. Doesn't appear to be too much going on other than the weavers busy at it doing their nesting. Got a question from, I think it's Kathy in Pennsylvania. Afternoon, Kathy, welcome on board. Kathy's asking whether the porcupine quills grow back. They do. They essentially the same. They're hair follicles. They're giantly enlarged hairs, so they're made out of keratin just like our hair, and they will continue to grow through the life of the porcupine, and it will lose them as the bigger, older ones fall out. So it is a progressive thing, and they're covered in so many of them. So the few that we saw on the road there, if the porcupine did manage to get away, is not going to prove to be any problem whatsoever. Just seen a duiker slinking through the undergrowth here, and I guess because I know there could potentially be a leopard in the area, I was just making sure that there's a leopard, not a leopard a few meters away either side of it, ready to pounce on it. It sadly is not going to be possible to show you guys because it is in very thick vegetation. Oh, you did manage to get a little glimpse. Well done, Jason. Good. So that's 2 duiker sightings today. One this morning was far better. Difficult because it was in thick vegetation, but we did get a good view of it. Okay. Now we are going to move out of the 2 areas where we knew of leopard being this morning and last night. We've driven all the roads there, haven't come up with anything, and hopefully they'll be out and about tomorrow, or possibly later on this afternoon in an area where we don't expect to find them. That does often happen. And now we will move towards where we know for certain there are a few male lions, and hopefully they're going to be active. They've no longer got a kill of any sorts, so may may be more inclined to be mobile and active. They last fed probably, it was not last night, the night before last, that they would have had their last sit down on that buffalo carcass, and now they will hopefully be active and not lethargic and full-bellied. We get an update from the game viewers on that sighting. Any updates on the Ngala of Sandy Patch? Okay, copy, thanks. Beautiful big herd of impala here. I'll stop for a second or two. All different shapes and sizes. Interestingly, in I think this same herd, we saw a tiny newborn the other day, which was interesting because a lot of them do get born within a few weeks of one another. Really, really beautiful antelope, these impala. They're always in such pristine condition, and it's simply the fact that they are so numerous that we tend to overlook them. Beautiful. Look at her nostrils working overtime there. That lady. Well, now they've stopped. Lots of little tails wagging. And an oxpecker. Okay. Well, let's see if we can see how this oxpecker combs its beak through the hair looking for ectoparasites. Look at that. Beautiful. Absolutely awesome shot here. I did drive through that area about half an hour ago. Didn't have any sign. Not that I saw. I did drive slowly and check, but I could have missed it, but I didn't see anything. Oh, in the ear, very tolerant impala. Look at that. She knows it's good for her, but at the same time it's probably very ticklish. Look at that. Beautiful, combing through the hair looking for the ticks. And these birds, unlike the fork-tailed drongo, have a zygodactyl foot structure, meaning 2 toes forward, 2 toes back, and this helps them to cling on to. Look at this, it's incredible. She looks like she's getting fully hypnotized by this therapy. Beautiful. Oh, enough's enough. She's had her health treatment for the day and left us a view of this baby impala finishing off a little mouthful of grass. Oh. Wonderful. Well, thank you, little impala friends. Don't be alarmed. We don't know of any leopard in the area. So the coast is clear, according to us. Let us know if anything changes. Oh, sorry, bump it. such a pleasant afternoon in terms of temperature. Really grateful for that, because it's a lot more enjoyable being out here when it's not blisteringly hot. The nice thing about coming out here on safari is that most of the lodges in this area are very accommodating and really offer great hospitality. So you can go out earlier in the morning and come back earlier in the morning, or go out later in the evening and come back later at night if you desire, that way avoiding the hotter hours. So you can kind of fine-tune things to exactly how you'd like it to be. Oh. Change the plans. There. Little buffalo thorn dangling into the road. They've got very nasty thorns. Sorry Alex, I'm not sure if I've had my volume down for you, but it's back up now. Okay, copy, perfect, thank you. Cover that, Alex, thank you. One hour to go. What will it bring for us? If any buffalo get near these lion, we'll be in for a treat. But we're gonna need the buffalo to come to the lion, because I don't think the lion will be going to the buffalo during the time that we're still active. I think the lions will probably only get mobile, start getting active closer towards 7 o'clock. Maybe I'm wrong. I hope I am. Are their heads up or are they still flat? Okay, copy. Thank you. Oh no. That was the cutest thing I've seen in a long time. Two squirrels snuggling up with one another. It was so cute. Well, now they've gone down their hole. Oh well. Pity about that. Maybe next time. Well, the one game viewer has just arrived at those lions, and he said 2 of them have got their heads up, the third one is fast asleep. Now, the fact that 2 have their heads up is a good thing in my books, so hopefully they'll still have their heads up by the time we get there, and hopefully as we arrive they get up, yawn, do a little bit of bonding with one another, and then head off on the prowl. Now they could be on the prowl for anything. The missing 2 coalition members, which there's word that they are in the Manyeleti, that they've been seen in the Manyeleti, which is a reserve that's open to the Sabi Sands, open to the Kruger National Park, all part of the same greater ecosystem. But further north of here, so there's been word that they've been seen there. It's actually the same reserve that we stay in every night, the Manyeleti. We don't stay in the Sabi Sands. So there is word that they're around, and I'm just going to stop here and let Jason show you this beautiful view. Let me just turn the vehicle around a bit, will make life easier for him. Some beautiful rays of sunlight coming out on that western horizon. And while Jason pans across the beautiful clouds, you can see those rays of sunlight shooting through. Beautiful. Either way, these lions that I'm hoping to be on the prowl could be searching for food, searching for the other coalition members. But as long as they're moving, I'm happy. The one concern is that they are very close to a boundary where we are will no longer be allowed to follow them. Well, isn't that a beautiful view, folks? It should also be fairly decent from where we are with the lions, so hopefully we'll have a sunset with them. And we're just a few minutes away from them, so if you're planning on going anywhere, I would suggest sticking around. Because in the next few minutes we'll be looking at some beautiful young male lions. Okay. Now, the line appeared to all be completely flat. Oh, this one's just got its head up. I'm not sure where the best spot is going to be. Not for that one, I think it's for that one over there. Oh no. I've done terribly here, folks. Couldn't have parked in a worse spot. I was trying to get both of these potential, or two with their heads up, that were potentially viewable into a decent spot, but this should work out a little bit better. Good. So you can see from all of the flattened grass around them, there were actually two of them under the same bush earlier this morning when we were here. The others moved out into the open now, but they have spent the whole day essentially in the same spot. And he's giving us a proper stare. Possibly it's because Jason's got a new haircut and they don't recognize him. Not sure.
Compliments of
And either way, it's certainly providing us with a beautiful, beautiful view of this animal. Alex just said through from the control that the lion can smell Jason's fear, which I thought was quite funny. It's just looking at some birds flying past there. That's what it is looking up to in the sky. There were some hummerkorps flying over. And I love it when birds get the cat's attention, because when they do gaze up into the sky, it's a beautiful, beautiful sight to see them looking upwards like that. Sorry, Alex, I was getting a lot of static there. If you, sorry, Alex, I was getting a lot of static there. The questions just come through from Joe, asking what my most amazing lion encounter was, and there are various different encounters. Joe, lions hunting, lions charging me when doing walking safaris, lions fighting with one another. But if there's one thing that I could choose, oh, look at that. Beautiful. If there was one thing that I could choose to show every person that came out on safari, it would be that of hearing male lions roar from a close proximity, from a few meters away. You can really feel those vibrations, and it's an incredible experience. So that's one of my favorite lion experiences that I could choose. We've just got another lion here in front of us who's giving us an idea of how relaxed they are. Just gonna get my head out of the shots. And this one's just rolled over onto his back. And it's going to allow us a good opportunity to see the three distinctive lobes on the back pad of a cat. You can see very clearly there the three lobes on the bottom pad below the actual toes. And a hyena and dogs will have only 2 lobes on that back pad, whereas all of your cats will have 3. Now my hope that they were going to be slightly active has come true. They've at least had their heads up and been floppering around a little bit, but as I did mention earlier, it would probably, there's that third one there, you can't see it very well, but what this picture does tell you that is that it is also completely flat in the grass with its head down. But hopefully closer towards 7 o'clock this evening we will get a bit of visual, and what I'm hoping to get is to be able to see them bonding with one another as they wake up. It's incredible to see such a potentially fierce animal being so loving and tender. So that is something to look forward to here. you'll notice he's got a big growth on his ear there, and that growth is a tick. The ectoparasites that the red-billed oxpeckers, the birds we saw on the impalas back a little bit earlier, that is what the oxpeckers feed on. But understandably, they don't provide any services to the cat family because the cats would obviously try and catch them or swat them, even though they'd be doing them a huge favor. This one's using an interesting pillow technique here, with his head wedged into the base of this tree. Kind of a pillow wedge between the tree and his paw. Now, we do simply have to just be patient now, because if we're not patient, we will not get to see them getting up. Let's see if this one's going to do anything for us. It was showing signs of a potential rollover, but it is now resumed back to fully passed out. I've just heard the ranger on the other vehicle offer his guest to go for a quick sundowner. Wouldn't that be nice? There's some impala feeding very close by, probably 50 meters away, but the chances of these 3 young males taking down an impala are very slim unless they actually were to run and jump directly over the line, and then they would probably have a chance. They rely on the bigger, slower, but more dangerous prey to take down, and that is the buffalo. Oh, here we go. We're in for a little bit of action here. Oh, stretch. Get the claws. They sometimes protract their claws as they stretch. I saw a tiny bit of it there, but for now, the lion are not playing along with our plans. But a lot of time on safari is spent waiting for things to happen. There we go. That was a massive breakthrough in this afternoon's lion activity. It's probably the most we've seen them do all day. But that could change. At the drop of a hat, like I say, if some buffalo were to come wandering past here, these lion would very, very quickly have a completely different mentality. We may get lucky, and as this vehicle leaves, the lion may pop their heads up, but maybe not. Enjoy your sundowner.
Thank you. Excellent.
I'm just going to reposition myself so I'm not in the way of Jason and his toy. Wonderful. You might be able to hear the woodpecker in the background. Hold on. There it goes. Now that could well be a bearded woodpecker, and they communicate through these vocalizations or tapping on hollow branches. So that's not actually... What has this lion got his head up for? I can hear the other game vehicle that stopped there. Maybe they drove over a branch or something that got his attention. Have a look at us, boy. Come on. There we go. That's a little bit better. Why don't you be the one to lead your brothers to the next buffalo? You have got the opportunity, you go over, rub heads with them, and tell them to follow you. If you do that, you will make us happy. If not, we're happy for you to carry on sitting there, as long as you keep your head up looking at us like that. Oh, why have you all of a sudden started focusing on Romeo like he's a baby buffalo? You can may have seen the vehicle moved a little bit there. Romeo is edging further away from the lion. Thankfully, Jason's, one of his strengths is tree climbing. You may have noticed I talk about this a lot, but it must be said that he's a professional when it comes to climbing the trees. And thankfully, lion aren't good tree climbers, so if there was a tree nearby, I would back Jason in being able to scramble up it quick enough to get away from them. If not, I'm sure it wouldn't be hard to find another cameraman to take his place. It's a wonderful job out here. Lift your nose into the wind. The wind is blowing towards us. There it goes. Big yawn. Oh, look at that. Look at his claws coming through. That's beautiful. Oops. Sorry, you didn't realize how big and powerful you were, but you do have a mighty big paw. Hopefully, he's going to lift up his paw onto another one of these branches and protract those claws and give them a good scratch into the wood. And this is how they maintain their claws and keep them sharp. And yawning is a great sign. The more they yawn, the more oxygen they're getting into their system and the more lively they'll become. So it is a common trait of lion and leopard to yawn a few times before they get active. But as you can see, this guy is fighting the snooze button here. But providing us with some very cute views of what can be a ferocious predator. At the moment, he's looking like a very, very relaxed and innocent individual, but that they're not. They cause a lot of chaos out here, these boys, and they will continue to do that as they grow. Okay, well, judging by the time and judging by their little bits of movements, I am fairly confident we're gonna get a few minutes of action out of them this evening. That is again, of course, and I will reiterate the point, if something, ideally a buffalo, or Jason I guess, came walking past now, they would certainly change their behavior and mood. But for now, all we can expect them to do is slowly wake up as the sun begins to set. Do we have another yawn coming up here? Yep. Oh, wonderful. Now I'm hoping in one more yawn's time he will get up, go over to his brothers and greet them. So one more yawn is my prediction, and then he's going to move. I could well be wrong. I could well be wrong. You can see that other individual that Jason's just panned across to now has moved very slightly, but movement is good. We'll take any small movement we can get out of them at this stage of the game. They're full-bellied and unlikely to move until around 7 o'clock this evening, would be my guess. Copy that, Alex. Thank you very much. Now, this individual here is looking intently across at his brothers, and I think he's about to get ready for his final yawn before he gets up. Let's see if my prediction is in fact correct. Looking promising. I'm seeing his little toes twitching, or big toes twitching rather, and I think he is getting ready to go and bond with his brother. In all likelihood his brother. These three are all very similar in size, whereas the other two members of this coalition are, one is slightly larger and one is slightly younger, so probably all born within the same pride, and then due to their similar ages they all left or got kicked out at a similar stage. Very fortunate. It can sometimes be just one lone son, one lone male in a pride that reaches that age of his life, around 2 years, where he'll be booted out and be all on his own. And that is certainly a situation that I wouldn't like to be in, because a lot of the time you do get bigger coalitions out here, and if a bigger coalition comes across one young individual on his own, he is going to have a nasty time. Jason, I'm just taking my earpiece off for a second, so just give me a tap on the shoulder if Alex does give us any information for the next few minutes.
Okay. There's a question from Brian in Toronto, but I didn't catch it completely.
Okay, hold on 1 second. I'll be back on now. Oh, this is the final yawn. And then he's going to get up. Watch this space. Alex, if you could just go again with that question, please. I've got my earpiece back in. Okay, good afternoon, Brian from Toronto. Welcome on board with us this evening. Brian has asked whether I ever get nervous that the lion will turn on us and become aggressive to us in the vehicle. And to be honest, I don't.
I do.
Jason does.
It's terrifying.
It's a numbers game. The amount of game drives that have been conducted within the Sabi Sounds over the last 40 years is huge. And in not one situation that I've heard of, and I'm sure I would have lion ever attacked any people on a vehicle. Your chances of being attacked on a vehicle are very slim unless you behave very unethically towards the animals. So if you just give them their distance and their respect, and if you do get too close and they give you a little growl, you can back off. But if you continue to pressure them, yes, then they could potentially attack, but it would be a very big body that they would decide to attack, and this is risky for animals. They understand, I think, that yes, we are individual humans on this vehicle. They look at us individually into our eyes, so I'm sure they do know we're individuals on this vehicle, but they realize that the strength of us and potentially this beast that we're on, which is only a vehicle and not dangerous to them at all, they are cautious of it because of its size. So I don't particularly feel at any time on the vehicle threatened by lion and or leopard. On foot though, it's a very different ball game. Your chances of startling an animal on foot are far greater because you're moving silently through the bush, whereas these vehicles, animals can hear coming from a long way off, so the chances of you actually frightening them are very slim. Okay, was I right about one more yawn? Or is he going to do just one more before he gets up? He's definitely, you can tell, showing signs of movements. But good question though, Brian. It is hard to imagine that they don't realize how easy a meal we would be, but thankfully they don't. And again, it's many years of viewing, and since these animals were little cubs, they would have grown up seeing humans and realized that we are not a food source and not a threat to them, and fits it into this neutral spot in the ecosystem, which is abnormal. But thankfully our brain power has allowed us to get us into an abnormally close situation by simply behaving accordingly and understanding them. Another one has just yawned. They're all beginning to start tossing and turning a little bit more, so all good signs that they are going to do something for us in the next few minutes, even if it is just their ritualistic bonding, head rubbing between one another. It is a wonderful thing to see. Oh, here we go. That's better. What can you smell? What are you lifting your head up to? The wind is coming from that direction that he is holding his nose up to. So maybe he can smell something tasty. Just got a question through from Harvey and Devon, I think it is, both potentially asking the same question, asking how old the lifespan of a lion is, and roughly about 15 years, sometimes a little bit less for the males who live a more intense and aggressive life than the females. But 15 years is a rough age that lions can live towards, sometimes a bit younger, sometimes a bit older than that. So these guys still have a long way to go in their lifetime. Provided they don't come unstuck in the next few years, and that is possible. There's just so many variables, Harvey and Devon, that it's impossible to predict how old they will get, but anywhere from 12 to 15 years would be considered a good innings for a lion. You may have noticed he's just pricked up his ears a little bit more intently. I just heard one impala alarm call. And I can't see them from where I am, but they could have potentially seen the lion. Oh yeah, they have. And now the alarm calls will start becoming louder and more numerous. Or maybe not. There we go, there's another one. Let's see if we can't get into a position where we can see these impala. It's quite nice to actually be able to show you them alarm calling rather than just cheering them. So, well, maybe we're lucky and the impala are alarming at another predator. Wouldn't that be nice? Oh, no, there it is. It was looking straight towards the lion, so not alarm calling at another predator, but it is indeed alarming at the lion. And if we just pan across to this side, we shall see the impala, who is alarming. There we go. Come on, let off one more call for us. Just one more. There we go. If any of you have only heard impala alarm call and not seen them, now you know what it looks like. They expel that air through their nostrils. Oh. You don't have anything to worry about, my impala friend. These lions are absolutely lethargic and almost comatose this afternoon, so you don't have to waste your breath on them too much. But what you are doing is helping any other potential prey to those lions know that there's some danger in the area. So any animals that are in earshot of that impala are now on the alert, or extra alert, high alert. I guess you've always got to be alert out here, because as a prey item there are lots of animals that can cause trouble for you. Now I'm going to try and get us into a position where from the same shot we've got a view of kind of all three of them, and this should work. You can see them all sprawled out there in a line now. And all completely flat, so my prediction for one more yawn from the individual which is furthest away under the guarri bush was way off, because he plopped his head straight back down after that third yawn. Could you just go again with the name there, please, Alex? Okay, thank you, Alex. Good evening, Russell. Welcome on board. Russell's asked a question all the way from Texas. And Russell's asked why that birds will alarm call, small birds will alarm call at animals like lion and leopard, even though the lion and leopard aren't necessarily targeting them. And I guess that's just the community watch for all potential prey items out there. It is interesting though, and I know certainly for leopard, even a leopard will be a threat to small birds. I've seen a leopard eat baby chicks out of a low-lying nest like cereal out of a bowl. So they can be a pest to small animals, lions and leopard, but it is interesting. It certainly is interesting how a lot of animals that have got absolutely nothing worried about regarding lion or leopard catching them, they'll still let out the alarm call. So Very useful though for all the prey animals that they do band together, I guess, against the predators. But what exactly it is that induces them to help the other animals out by letting out these alarm calls, I don't know. But thanks for that question, Brian. I hope everything in Texas is wonderful at the moment. Okay. Well, as promising as things a few minutes ago, they've taken a bit of turn for the worse in the last few minutes. The lion have all seemed to go back into a fairly deep sleep. As things a few minutes ago, they've taken a bit of turn for the worse in the last few minutes. The lion have all seemed to go back into a fairly deep sleep. They don't have a very distinctive smell that I've got used to, and we can't smell them here. The wind is blowing from behind us towards the lion, so the wind isn't in our favor, but even when we were parked on the other side, the wind was slightly more in our favor if we were to smell them, and we couldn't smell anything. The only predator that comes to mind that does have a very distinctive smell is the wild dog. And they've got a kind of damp blanket kind of a smell. But other than that, the other predators are not too pungent. Or at least not in this area. It may change from area to area. But over here, they are not smelly at all. Cover that, thanks Alex. So, just 10 more minutes left to go. I'm hoping they're going to do something in that time, but it's looking fairly bleak at this stage. Where's a buffalo when you need one? Well, the large herd of buffalo that we did have on the property for a while has moved off, sadly. When the buffalo were around, they spent quite a lot of time on our property, and in that time the lion managed to kill 3 of them in 4 nights, so we got some seriously good action out of them. Oh, what did you hear? Obviously nothing too serious because his head plopped straight back down, but something did get his attention. Jason, I'm not sure if you got that transmission from Alex there. He's just asked if we can somehow lighten the shot a little bit. Beautiful. Is that better, Alex? Okay, good. Good, good, good. Well, hopefully, for all of those of you who've joined us on this afternoon's safari and invested this last hour or so with the lion, not doing too much, hopefully you will be rewarded with the lion in action in the future. And that's what it's all about. It's a waiting game out here, and you've just got to put hours and hours and hours in out here in order to be in the right place at the right time for something special to happen. And despite being one of Africa's apex predators, they are also one of Africa's apex sleepers. So this is what they do for the large majority of their days. Sleepy, sleepy lions. I really was confident that we're going to get a little bit of their bonding this evening, and hopefully at least a few minutes of them up and around, but the signs that they were showing of any potential movement about half an hour ago, 25 minutes ago, has reverted back to full coma, which we're busy experiencing now. And there are only a few minutes left, folks, so just like to say a big thank you from Jason on camera, Alex in control, and myself where you know I am, here in the driver's seats. And thanks very much for joining us. Mark will be up tomorrow, and I'm hoping potentially Jiga, the other vehicle, will be up by the afternoon, but it's not guaranteed at this stage, and merely a hope that happens. So you can expect, as I said, Mark up to drive tomorrow, and I don't have a clue what's going to be out there, but he knows this property very well, and I'm sure he's going to show you a great safari. So you've got that to look forward to tomorrow. And from myself, Jason and Alex, have a wonderful day or evening, depending on where you are, and look forward to my next safari with you next time.